You cannot risk war with Great Britain when you cannot win Ukraine.
Can I ask you first of all, then? So Dmitry Medvedev talking about British officials, military and civilian, as potential targets of assassination. How seriously should we take this threat?
You should understand that Medvedev now is a really marginalized figure in Russian politics. I'm absolutely honest. Nobody is discussing what he's telling and what he's writing. He became a totally empty figure, so to say. Everybody knows that he is not responsible for anything serious. He doesn't have control over matters. He doesn't have, even if officially he's the chairman of the ruling party, it's not him, it's Turchak and Kremlin who is doing the real business there. Everybody knows that he's the first deputy, that he is the deputy Putin in the Security Council. But everybody knows that the actual ruler who is doing things, getting things done in the Security Council is Patrushev, not Medvedev. Last time when Medvedev was taken seriously, it was in winter, January, February, when Putin appointed him as first deputy chairman of this VPK Military-Industrial Commission, which is headed by the president, which controls a big part of Russian economics dealing with the military-industrial complex, which is of crucial importance now during war. Well, everybody thought that, well, here it is, Medvedev is coming back, because those seemed at the beginning to be the real authorities, and he really went into this work and he started making sessions, and he got into a big struggle with the government, with the Prime Minister Mishustin, his successor at the post of the Prime Minister. Medvedev used to be Prime Minister before. So they had a big power struggle, although not public, for 2 months. But since March, it became visible that Medvedev lost control over those matters. He tried to intervene, but he lost this battle. So since March and April, he's not responsible for anything. And what he's doing publicly is no longer interesting to people. Like everybody noticed within the last year that no matter what Medvedev is telling, it has little to do with the real things. Like the war is being done without him. Repressions are being conducted without him. Economics is...
So tell me, indeed, Abbas, I mean, there's something reassuring about that this man answering these threats is not at the center of power, does not wield a great deal of power himself. To what extent, though, does Dmitry Medvedev speak with the voice of others, other hardliners? How far are his extreme views represented? He's spoken of nuclear retaliation in the past and other rather scary sounding ideas on the Russian side. There are other hardliners in Russia, are there not? So to what extent does he represent those voices, if at all?
He might be an ally of this part of Kremlin, which is headed by Kiriyenko at certain moments, Kiriyenko and Kovalchuk. So he might be an ally with them sometimes, not always. Like he is not member of their inner circle, but sometimes he's an ally.
Yes.
But as for other hardliners, they hate him. Like you should understand that he is now trying to adapt to totally change Russian surrounding. Previously, he was a liberal. He was responsible for, liberal reforms and protecting businesses from security agencies and reestablishing relations with America. And so they hate him for many years for all those things. But now you can no longer be a liberal in Russian politics since this great dramatic shift towards authoritarianism, almost totalitarian regime.
Okay, that is interesting. There are, of course, some hardliners there.
Patrushev and Sechin, they're the real hardliners. But it's
right. There are
for
real hardliners there.
20 years they had Medvedev, and there is this power struggle between them, like the life and death. And that's why Medvedev is trying to be, he wants to be more holy than the Roman Pope. He wants to show that, no, I'm the patriot, Vladimir, dear Vladimir, look at me, I'm patriot, I'm no longer liberal. So he's trying to save himself.
So are British military commanders or senior British officials, or for that matter, British politicians, would they be considered beyond reach, out of the question, no possibility of an assassination attempt at some point?
I don't believe that. I think this is these are just words. If they decide to make it, they're trying to impress people. They cannot impress people with their performance. The only thing what is left is words. So Medvedev took this responsibility for himself, but it has nothing to do with the real action. If Putin decided to make it, he would have done this silently, probably, without, or at least without, by telling it by himself, or not Medvedev. It's really not serious.
Indeed. So why is it not serious? Why would that not happen from Russia's point of view?
Well, because you cannot risk war with Great Britain when you cannot win Ukraine. Like it's really stupid to open the second front when you are losing on the first one. So it's so counterproductive that even the most crazy people will not do it. Russian military, Russian elites are totally against what is happening. And the system is really risking a coup attempt. And if the Russian elites see that the guys went so mad that they're going to start war with Great Britain, really we should overthrow them. It might lead to a coup. It might lead to, the military or the security, they would just refuse to undertake this action. And this would mean a coup. Is their control over the system, I think it's not limitless. It's limited. And the scope of the possible is getting smaller and smaller for them. So I don't believe that.
Okay, last question then on that. Again, another interesting answer. We're waiting for the next big offensive in the battlefield in Ukraine. How do you read the situation there? Is this war, in all meaningful ways, is it already lost for Russia?
Definitely. In the long run, it's already lost. Even a draw is a political loss for Putin. Even if there is a draw, if he manages to keep this part of the territory, which he controls now, imagine that now there is peace talks and end of the war, and Russia keeps those territories. Even within 1 year, the economics is deteriorating, and the sanctions continue. So the protest mood in the public, which was growing within the last 5 years, it starts growing again. This popular discontent of the elites, because the elites, they lost everything. They were oriented towards West. They wanted to steal money in Russia, invest them in the West, in the Western world, and move there. So the prospects were clear, and this was their strategy. They lost the chances. So, and the question will be arising: why? What was the purpose? Did we need this Donbass? Nobody needs it actually. So, it's demanding more and more money. The economy is deteriorating. Living standards are going down. Popular unrest is happening. Discontent among the military. The system is it's like in 1917, something like this. And there is no response. Why? Because even if we keep these territories, it's not a victory. The only victory which could have saved Putin, it could have been if he took over Kiev, threw out Zelensky, arrested him, and installed there some loyal president who would declare no NATO, no EU, we are joining, we're becoming the ally of Russia. Well, and like it happened with Crimea in 2014. Only something like this might lead Russian public and Russian elite think, okay, well, probably it was worthwhile. The war was worthwhile. But if it's not like this, the result is not so convincing. If it's just some territories, no, what was the point of making this war? Like, in 1 year, regime will become totally legitimate. For now, Putin controls like 1/3 of the population, of the popular vote, and more or less controls the system. Within 1 year, he wouldn't control anything.